Chelsea lose at 3 points lane. They failed to even score at 3 points lane. Typically, we go to Spurs, we get 3 points. This time, we didn't even score a goal. We went through 96 minutes without scoring a goal. Do I back Potter? I mean, I say it every video. And I say it every video. It's getting so difficult to back Potter. Do I say Potter out? I don't know. But I still want him to do well. I mean, I wouldn't be against him going, to be honest. I just want to be one of those guys that... I want to be one of those guys that, like, I backed him when he was finding it difficult, so then I can celebrate when he's finally found his feet at the club. Because you're going to have people that are like, oh yes, Potter's doing amazing things at Chelsea, and then you're like, fam, you were asking for him to leave the club 10 months ago. I want to be one of those people that was here, that I was supporting him when he was doing bad. But it is getting very difficult. I'm not even going to bother going into what I thought of individual players. It's just Chelsea require a elite manager, and I don't think Potter suits the criteria, if I'm honest. I was having a discussion with my friends in WhatsApp about who takes over, and one of my friends said, "Listen, obviously, he's not doing well. The results show, like, you can't argue that he's not. You can't say he's doing well. He's not. He's just not. But who do you replace him with? Because Zidane wants the France job, and he's not going to come in for 1 or 2 years. Because we want a long-term coach, not another Abramovich type coach where he comes in, finds good form, then he gets sacked after he loses 2 games or whatever." Luis Enrique you could do, Pochettino you could do, but it's not really too realistic of an option. Obviously, you're not going to get Pep to leave City. You're not going to get Klopp to leave Liverpool. I don't know if Liverpool are going to sack Klopp. I mean, obviously, then Liverpool are not doing well this season, but I think Klopp is still a very good manager. I would just like to mention that now that we have failed to score against Spurs, that means João Felix, his goal against West Ham, that now gets our goal of the month by default because there's been no other goals this month. We didn't score against Dortmund. We didn't score against... Actually, let me just have a look at our match because I've forgotten half the matches anyway. So we did not score against Dortmund. Let's have a look at this month's matches. So, 3rd of February, Chelsea Fulham 0-0. 11th of February, West Ham Chelsea 1-1. Dortmund we lost. Southampton we lost. Today we lost. So by default, João Felix gets our goal of the month because there's been literally no other goals this month. Not even in any other competition. There's literally he's the only one that's scored this month in any competition. But by default, he gets the goal of the month. I mean, I don't know if we sort of decide between men's and... I think the women's gets their own goal of the month, and then the men's gets their own. I don't think it's between the men's and women. Yeah, do I back Potter? I don't know. But what I do know is the fan base is going to get very, very toxic now. Losing to managerless Southampton, who had, I think, 1 clean sheet in 20 games. At the time, anyway. Because maybe it's less or more now. I mean, obviously, it's less now. Losing to managerless Southampton. They are last season's Norwich. If you don't beat them, you might as well be going down yourself. They are probably going to get relegated. They had a manager they appointed in December. He was then sacked a week or two ago. He was kept in for 95, less than 100 calendar days he was in the job. And we lost to manager. They didn't even have a manager at that point when we played him. And we lost to them. Now, I'm not going to talk about how we lost, because we lost to a great James Ward-Prowse free kick. Don't get me wrong. He is probably the best free kick taker in the Prem, maybe even in the world, arguably. But definitely in the Prem, best free kick taker. We lost to managerless Southampton. And Potter started getting I don't know when they started, but let's assume that they started then. Potter started getting death threats then. So, imagine how it's going to be when we lose 2-0 to Tottenham. Because that's inexcusable. I mean, losing to managerless Southampton is inexcusable. But losing to Tottenham 2-0, by the way. 2-0 we lost them by today. That's also inexcusable. So I don't know where we go from here, to be honest. I know the board are hard on keeping Potter in. They do not want to be. I don't know if it's an ego thing. If it's Todd Bowley ego, he just doesn't want to admit that he got it wrong. I don't know what it is, but what I do know is that Potter, I don't think he's the man for the job. I've got to say it. I don't think he's the man for the job. So from now, where do we go? I mean, obviously, I'm not Todd Bowley, so I don't decide who's hired, who's fired, whatever. What I do decide is my opinion. And my opinion is that I don't know where we go from here. I don't know where we go from here. And for just a quick stat, no side has scored fewer goals than Chelsea in the Premier League since the start of November. I want to give him time. He's not got a terrible CV. He did a great job at Brighton. Potter. He did a great job at Brighton. But is he out of his depth at Chelsea? I think you have a very good argument to say that he's out of his depth. Do I want to back Potter? I don't know. Because I want to be one of those people that backed him when he was doing terribly, so then I can celebrate when he's doing well. Because then I have the right to, because I stuck by him. But it's getting so difficult. And I've heard a lot of people say our best chance of qualifying for Champions League football next season is to win the Champions League this season, which I agree with. Do I think it's possible? At this rate, probably not. We've been doing pretty well in the Champions League. We topped our group. We went from being bottom of the Champions League table in our group with the worst goal difference to being top of the best goal difference. And now in the round of 16, we are currently 1-0 down to Dortmund on aggregate. So I don't know where we go from here, if I'm honest. And I no longer want to say we'll see what happens. Because we've seen what happens. We've given him time. I know he's not had a pre-season, but it's like I keep saying, I'm not worried about next season. I'm worried about this season. Because next season, we'll hopefully have got rid of the dead wood. We'll have got more players in. We'll blah blah this, blah blah that. Next season we'll have Nkunku as well. We'll have Gusto. But I am very worried about where we go from this season. I'm incredibly worried about what happens this season. With that said, And it seems like I say this every week now. With that said, if you don't laugh, you'll cry. If you don't cry, you'll laugh. One quick stat: Chelsea are without a win away from home for 8 games, their longest such run since the 2000/2001 season. Last winning on the road against Aston Villa in October. Villa, coincidentally, are now level on points with us. Chelsea have just 6 goals in their last 12 games, lowest of any Premier League team in that time. Our last win on the road was against Villa in October. I remember that. Mason Mount got the tap in, sort of a tap in. Mason Mount got the goal. And then... Actually, no, yeah, Mason Mount got the goal from the Tyrone Mings header, and then Mason Mount also free kicked and got that goal. It's a pretty good goal. Obviously, Martinez could have done better, but it's a good goal. But it's been awful since. It has been awful since. So what do we do? October, November, December, January, February, nearly March now. So that's nearly 5 months. If we don't win against Leeds, that'll be 5 months pretty much without a win away from home. That is inexcusable. And also, like to mention that I forgot what I was going to say, honestly, but fuck, I don't even care. We've lost, and it's just ridiculous. I don't know where we go from here. I do not know where we go from here. I don't know where we go. To see you on the next one, I guess. Potter out, potentially. See you on the next one. Peace out.